Hey, Clark, are you okay?
She's awake.
We got a lot of questions after the True Detective Season 4 premiere, like, are there actual ghosts? What happened to all those people in the research facility? And what is with the one-eyed polar bear? Believe it or not, we have answers that could lead to a world-ending event in this show. Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and these are all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in the Season 4 premiere of True Detective. And guys, there is a lot in this episode, and we are going to dive very deep and get weird, talking about all the cosmic horror symbolism and references to a cosmic evil that I think could be under the small Alaska town. So we open with a quote by Hildred Castaigne: "For we do not know what beast the night dreams when its hours grow too long for even God to be awake." Now, there is a lot to break down in that very short quote, such as the fact that Mildred Castaigne is not a real person.
Oh, is he a dog?
No, he's not a dog either. But Hildred Castaigne is a fictional character from an 1895 collection of horror stories called The King in Yellow. And yes, if you are a fan of the True Detective series, particularly Season 1, and have found yourself combing Reddit threads about how it all connects, then you have likely heard about this book. The King in Yellow is a powerful godlike being who can possess people and drive them mad. This character would inspire authors like H.P. Lovecraft in his stories featuring Cthulhu. Cthulhu is a creature created by Lovecraft. The beast sleeps within the tomb of a sunken city in the Pacific Ocean and who has been there for eons. Cthulhu seeks to one day be awoken and regain control of the planet. Now, Cthulhu, like the King in Yellow, also shares the ability to possess one's mind and drive them mad. Now, there is another character in the Lovecraft mythos called Hastur, who is similar to Cthulhu and is also theorized to perhaps be the deity that the cult in Season 1 of True Detective worshipped, the Yellow King. And the spiral symbol seen throughout the first season is meant to symbolize Carcosa, a realm that exists outside of time and space and was introduced in the 1800s alongside Hastur by author Ambrose Bierce. Now, I'm telling you all this because the cult seemingly led by Errol Childress in Season 1 of True Detective had direct connections and mentions of the Yellow King, Carcosa, and even imagery of Cthulhu. And this premiere episode seems to be taking True Detective back to its roots with references to all of this cosmic horror lore. The Hildred quote is also in reference to the weeks of darkness about to take over this small Alaskan town, for we do not know what beast the night dreams. This use of the word dream plays into the theme of truth and what actual truth really is, a theme that has been prominent in each season of the series. This is also another example of Lovecraftian or cosmic horror, the genre that books like The King in Yellow are a part of. This genre plays on fear of the unknown and mere suggestions of what the true evil lurking in the shadows could be, allowing for your own imagination to do a lot of the work, effortlessly tapping into your own greatest fears and seamlessly placing those fears into the story via your own subconscious. When its hours grow too long for even God to be awake is in reference, of course, to the long night that awaits us, but also hinting that not even God will be present for the events about to transpire. And in the absence of God, we are meant to ponder what evils could pillage our dreams while the light, or God, is sleeping. So as the sun begins to set, we see a hunter looking on at this herd of reindeer. Now, this perfectly symbolizes the predator-prey dichotomy that we've come to know in all True Detective seasons. As the sun sets, the leader of this reindeer herd lets out a cry, and all the deer begin to run and leap off this cliff, seemingly ending their own lives. Now, I think this is paralleling what we'll soon see happen with all the missing people at the research base, and how long spans of darkness can make people do crazy things. In the research facility, we see the parade scene of Ferris Bueller's Day Off playing on the TV.
Have you seen my phone? Good.
Now, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, at its core, is about Ferris rebelling in order to find his own individuality and essentially the meaning of life. This parallels the missing scientist searching for the origin of life. So this guy seems to be having a seizure of sorts, and when he comes to, he says,
She's awake.
So who is she?
Cthulhu.
Actually, buddy, maybe it might be.
What? I was just messing around.
Well, actually, I think it's possible that, real or not, this guy may be referring to that sleeping cosmic being who is destined to awake and take over the planet. And the existence of the cosmic being itself is irrelevant. Like Errol, the true danger is whether the cultists believe, not whether or not it's actually true. Next, we get this shot of the tongue, which we of course are going to talk a lot more about later on. But first, let's break down this intro. True Detective intros are so crucial to each season, and come the end of the season, so much of the imagery of the intro makes more and more sense. And you see the significance of each frame. Now, this intro is set to the song Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish. At the end of the episode, we see that the scientists have been buried in the ice, which I took as imagery of them being sacrificed to the beast below. So, Bury a Friend could be a nod to one of the scientists having something to do with the murders, which of course is teased at the end of this episode when Jodie Foster is combing through case file photos, but more on that in a bit. Now, Bury a Friend has the line, "When we all fall asleep, where do we go?" And I think that line is crucial to not only this season, but also to all seasons of the series, because each season has explored the boundaries of truth and perception. And reality is a very different thing when you're within a dream. With the Lovecraftian supernatural teases this season is kicked off with, and the use of ghosts inside the character of our own minds, plus the opening quote about God being asleep, I think we are meant to interpret the coming weeks and investigation as a long and terrifying nightmare. So, going back to the song, "When we all fall asleep, where do we go?" Well, we are now asleep as the sun has set, and this dark hellscape of a twisted reality is where we have gone. In the intro, we can also see what I think is Detective Danvers underwater beneath the ice. Now, this is foreshadowing the struggle headed her way, and also parallels Danvers with Cthulhu, who, as we discussed before, is also trapped underwater. Now, here on this wall, we see a sign that says Blue Kink, a reference, of course, to the Yellow Kink. And then we hear the nursery rhyme called One for Sorrow. One's for sorrow. This nursery rhyme is about counting magpies, and each number has a meaning. Now, we only heard it go to 7, a secret that has never been told. But there are versions of the song that actually go to 20. Some that stuck out to me were 10 for a surprise, you should not be sure to miss. 13, beware the devil himself. 18, to be safe from hell. And 19, to be safe from a crime. Now, on this shelf of movies, we can see a DVD of John Carpenter's The Thing, which also took place in a snowy research facility, and the researchers were being hunted by a shape-shifting alien. Now, looking beyond the low-hanging fruit of both stories taking place within a snowy climate with scientists, I think there could be something deeper to this Easter egg. In The Thing, you didn't know who you could trust because the alien would take the shape of the various researchers. That mirrors perfectly with True Detective, going all the way back to its theme of not knowing the truth, and the lurking predators that are hiding in plain sight. Next, we get shots of each of these scientists' bios, and I read through each one, and nothing stuck out to me as particularly juicy. However, I do think that their overall search for life, and the focus on the Triassic period, could come into play with the beast lurking in the shadows. But I did spot the name drop of John Lithgow. No idea why they used his name. Maybe they're a Third Rock fan.
This man is a genius.
Now, like I said before, Lovecraftian cosmic horror teases the faint idea of supernatural foul play, and that's teased again here with this writing on the whiteboard, "We're all dead." So, what could they have found that makes this person feel a sense of doom? Now, here we can see the phone of the guy who was live streaming himself making a sandwich, and the phone is still standing and the battery is dead, meaning that whatever happened after this
She's awake.
was likely caught on camera and someone out there saw it. Now, when Detective Danvers says,
Survive the apocalypse.
this could be yet another reference to a cosmic being who is destined to be awoken from their slumber and take over the world, and bring its followers to the realm outside of time.
You really think a grounded show like True Detective is going to do all that?
No, I don't think we're going to see a giant monster rise from the depths of the ocean in a show like True Detective. But even if we did, I think it would still be left up to interpretation as to whether or not it was real. And the point would be that whether it's real or not is irrelevant. Whether it's a cosmic being or something that's real, like climate change, which the scientists were also researching. If either succeeds in destroying the planet, then how we got there becomes irrelevant, because we've reached the point of no return, because we've allowed our own personal truths to consume us. And when we allow personal truths, aka opinions, to be treated as fact, then truth ceases to exist. This also plays into how in Lovecraftian literature, we've seen people go mad and become perverse and feral when met with the reality of the cosmos, because it was simply too much for them to handle. This is paralleled with the disgusting cult members we saw in season 1 of True Detective, and in our own reality, how we tend to reject the truth when faced with it and sprint in the opposite direction, becoming more and more delusional.
Wow, that was really deep and speaks to our current political and sociological climate.
Thanks, buddy. High five. So when we see Rose gutting this wolf, she's listening to the radio, and we hear the host say,
Is there anybody there?
Now, this is meant to give us a feeling of isolation, and as the wolf's nerves make the dead wolf bark, we're meant to interpret this as an echo of the past life that once lived within this wolf's body. This is preparing us to transition from reality to unknown truth, as Rose sees an echo of Travis, an echo meaning his ghost.
Like a real ghost?
No, that's why I said echo to start, because it's like the active nerves in the dead wolf serving as an echo of what was once there. Rose's memories of Travis are serving as an echo of a dead man. Here on this Ennis, Alaska sign, it reads, "Welcome to the end of the world," another reference to the looming threat of the end of the world. So when Danvers and her stepdaughter, Leah, almost get in a wreck, we see Leah panic a little bit, and Danvers is quick to comfort her.
It's okay. Leah, Just a nice slip.
And then, when Danvers gets out of the car to approach the other vehicle, we see her have a brief flashback. Now, I think this means that Danvers' husband and Leah's father likely died in a car accident some years back. Here, when Navarro says she'll have some water, she says that the water is bad and had gone bad 3 days ago, which is also when the scientists went missing. Now, here we can see that whoever lives here is stocked up on food, likely for when the weather becomes bad and they can't leave their home. But this stockpile of canned food also taps into that apocalyptic feel that this episode has been laying down. Here, Navarro is asked if she believes in God, mirroring this scene from season 1.
If the only thing keeping a person decent is the expectation of divine reward, then brother, that person is a piece of shit.
Navarro says she believes in God, but that she also believes that we are alone, and so is God. Yet another line that is meant to paint God as powerless and absent, thus increasing your fear of what hides in the darkness. In this drawing by Little Darwin, we can see what appears to be a woman with red shining eyes and blood dripping from her hands. And Darwin's mother says that this drawing stems from their culture. So perhaps this is a native folk tale connected to the supernatural undertones of this season, and it may even be the she that we heard mentioned at the beginning of the episode. I also love that the kid's name is Darwin. Charles Darwin is, of course, the scientist who popularized the theory of evolution. With a scientific explanation of how life came to be without the guidance of a creator, it plays into the Lovecraftian theme of a meaningless universe. This is also paralleling Russ' worldview from season 1.
I think human consciousness was a tragic misstep in evolution. We became too self-aware.
When looking at the photos of the previous murder victim, we see stab wounds shaped like stars. Now, these dark stars are meant to symbolize the dark stars of Carcosa and could be another clue that the same cult from season 1 was involved. When Danvers is sleeping that night, we dive back into the theme of dreams, ghosts, and reality. We hear a young girl's voice say,
She's awake.
Now, we can assume that this is Danvers dreaming about her deceased daughter that likely died in the same wreck as her late husband. And we can even assume that the hand we see touch Danvers' shoulder is meant to merely show us what Danvers was feeling in her dream. But what I can't explain is why we're hearing the deceased daughter say the same "she's awake" line that we heard at the beginning of the episode. We see Danvers sit up in bed and grab a stuffed polar bear that likely belonged to her deceased daughter, and it's missing an eye. Now, my guess is that its eye was ripped off in the car wreck. Now, we saw this polar bear in the opening credits walking in the road, and we see it again at the end of the episode. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say it may have been a polar bear in the middle of the road that caused the wreck that killed Danvers' family. It's also worth mentioning that we can see on Danvers' patch earlier in the episode a polar bear. In native culture, polar bears represent resilience and strength. And having one eye in native culture is often meant to represent the ability to see in darkness, such as the weeks of darkness this Alaskan town has entered. In native culture, the Thunderbird is often depicted with a single eye.
You mean that car that my dad used to wash in his cut-off shorts?
A Thunderbird is a supernatural being that is credited with similar qualities as the polar bear, such as strength and resilience. Now, as Navarro is driving through the town, her call is interrupted with static, and we hear, "She's awake." And at the same time, we see a one-eyed polar bear in the middle of the road.
What are you doing here?
Now, this could be indicating that Navarro was also present when that fatal car wreck took place. But as far as what's real and what's part of the cosmic nightmare, that is still all up in the air. And when Danvers is laying out photos and reviewing the two cases trying to make a connection, which she finds, by the way, with the same coat being worn in both photos, in the wide shot, we can see the pictures laid out in a spiral symbol, just like the spiral that we discussed off the top that was prominent in season 1 of True Detective and has reappeared in other seasons. So guys, that was our breakdown for the season 4 premiere of True Detective. Let us know if there are any Easter eggs that we might have missed, and let us know if you'd be interested in having us cover the rest of the season. Also, big shout out to the brilliant writer of this video, Mr. Colton Ogburn. You can find his social links below. So guys, if it's your first time here, please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.